very beautiful, and I too am beautiful. Good morning. Did you understand anything of that? Thought you wouldn't. Um, the why couldn't you? Because the speed with which your mind works to perceive, or your brain works to perceive what's happening, is a lot slower than the speed with which that the video frames are coming one after another. It's much faster than what your brain can handle. And so what the reason for making this video is threefold. First, I want to know for sure if the way I understand how the mental illness medications operate on the brain is correct. And so I'm going to be asking questions to my friend Nova in the US. She's a psychologist, and she knows a lot about medications, mental health medications. The second thing the second reason I want to make this video is to also ask about how the mental illness medications cause confusion in the brain. And the third is to ask her about statistics, statistical studies done on people who have been taking these kinds of medications. And why am I concerned about mental illness medications? Because my dad has been on them for the last 20 years or more, and his health has been deteriorating very quickly recently. And he has respiratory failure. The right side of his heart is almost unfunctional, completely unfunctional. He has put on a lot of weight, and his muscles are there is dying. His whole body is shutting down basically. So and my argument is that these mental illness medications are the cause for all his bodily function problems. And over just the last 5 years, maybe he has been admitted to hospital 7 times or something like that, maybe more. At this point in time, he's in hospital, Fremantle Hospital, because he fell down again, and he can't even stand anymore. It's terrible. Anyway, so just as he has suffered in the hands of those hospitals, and every time he goes into the hospital, and before they discharge him, they do a review of his medications, and they keep giving him the same mental illness medications. None of the doctors, none of the specialists talked about how these mental illness medications are destroying his body. And it's not that complicated. As I'm a computer scientist and a mathematician, and I did very basic biology and chemistry, and yet, as you will soon see me explaining how these mental illness medications, according to what I understand, it's not that complicated. And none of the doctors or specialists talked about these things, and weighed the benefits of and the issues that these medications can create in the body. Any engineer does cost benefit analysis. The same with a medical health professional. They need to know, and they need to address the side effects of these medications in light of the benefits. And my dad, he's diagnosed schizophrenic. Of course, according to me as a spiritual man, schizophrenia is a spiritual problem, and if you are dealing with the problem from a shallow point of view, you are just suppressing the manifestation of certain things, but the problem is still there. It's still there. So anyway, let me explain. Yeah, I want to soon be suing the Armadale Hospital, the Fiona Stanley Hospital, and the Royal Perth Hospital, because all three, he's been admitted multiple times into these hospitals, and every time they discharge him with the same mental illness medications. The first medication he's taking is cariprazine, which is supposedly a new drug, or newish drug, and the doctor who prescribed it to him he was like using this medication on my dad. My dad was like a lab rat to him. They don't even know how these medications work on the brain, and yet they are just trying and erroring and all that to find out which one works. So the first one he's taking is cariprazine. The second one he's taking is risperidone, and another one something. It's antidepressant / antipsychotic as well. So they are overloading his body with these killer medications. They are killing his body, and I will explain soon why I believe so. So when the way the body functions, or the body organs function, is the whole body is functional through electrical signals being sent from the brain to the organs. For example, the mind or the brain tells the heart, sends electric signals telling the heart, beep now. Beat now, and then again beat now, and then again beat now. So it tells the eye, take a snapshot, or it tells the ear, process this sound wave. Tells the kidney, make urine now. So there is a frequency of how often these electric signals are being sent to the organs of the body. Tells the, I don't know what else, the lungs, inhale, exhale. Just every single organ in the body, it receives an electric signal from the brain telling it to function. So what these mental illness medications do is slow down the rate at which these electric signals are being sent to the organs. So for example, you are telling the lungs to inhale, but instead of how the body functions normally is, for example, say the brain sends a signal to the lungs every second. Signal. Example. And now with mental illness, with these medications, cariprazine combined with risperidone combined with that other thing, they don't even know how when these things are put together, how exactly the effect is on the body. All right, let alone one medication being given and tests are done just on that one on the body. Now, leaving that issue aside of the combination of these medications, going back to just the one medication, instead of a signal being sent to the lungs to inhale every second, it's like inhale, then 10 seconds or whatever, however long more, then again inhale. So during that time or that gap in which there is no inhaling, the lungs are not taking in oxygen, so the body is dying. There is no enough oxygen coming in for the body, and not only that, so the cells of the body are dying because there is no enough oxygen, and then they are giving him oxygen, nasal oxygen. But if he doesn't do that, if he does not do it, think about it, to actually inhale oxygen voluntarily, yeah, like he thinks about it and then he inhales, the lungs are not functioning. He's not inhaling enough oxygen. The other thing, not only that, the brain is sending a signal to the brain cells themselves are dying because no enough oxygen is going to the brain. So his memory to remember to do it, he himself voluntarily, is also being affected. The kidneys are not making enough urine because they are not getting the signal as often as they should be. So his legs and his body is swelling with fluid retention. It's keeping fluids in the body. Every single organ is dying, not only because of lack of oxygen, but also because they are not being given the signal to operate at the rate that is supposed to. And so yes, he is so much overweight. His metabolism has been slowed down dramatically. Every body part, his muscles are dying. And what I wanted to mention is, even with all these medications, mental illness medications, he is still not. They haven't solved the problem. He is still having the same issues. The only thing they did is that they zombified him, they pacified him, and they just instead of him having the ability to manifest anger, as it just dumbed him down completely. These medications, they are horrible. Now let me explain why there is also confusion in the brain, and the confusion comes from this: these mental illness medications are not modifying the genetics. They are working on a level above that, which is the synapses and neural networks, neurons, and all that. I don't understand exactly the neurotransmitters and all that, but what I want to say is that the brain genetically it knows to send a signal or to generate a signal to whichever organ every, say, second. For example, it's it knows genetically that to send a signal to the lungs to inhale every second. However, these chemicals from the mental illness medications are because they are slowing down the rate of these signals reaching the organs. What they are doing is retraining the brain. They are retraining the brain function so that it tells us, I don't need you now. I don't need you now, because they are not in sync. They are not allowing the brain to send these, as you would know, for an electric current to move, there has to be a closed circuit. So the brain genetically wants to send a signal every second, for example. Okay, and it's working to do that, and yet, because the circuit is not closed at the right moment, these mental illness medications, they make an open circuit, so they open the pathway so that there is no complete there is no way for the signal to move. So you are retraining the brain and confusing it. The brain is saying, I'm going to send the signal now, and these medications are telling it, no, don't send the signal now. So it's like, and yet the inherent function, or the inherent way the brain is supposed to, or was going to work, or is supposed to work, is it's deep. It's much lower level. So genetically, it's about to send a signal, but then you are telling it, no, don't send the signal, or I'm not gonna let you send the signal. So it creates confusion in the brain. That is the second thing. And yes, my dad is so much confused. Every time we take him to the hospital, they say it's carbon dioxide increasing in the body. But why is the carbon dioxide increasing in the body? Because of these things, because of these mental illness medications. And yeah, the third thing I wanted to ask you, Nova, by the way, did I say good morning, Nova? Good morning. The third thing I wanted to ask about these things is the statistics. I'm not sure if you know, or if you can find out for me, that would be amazing, and I'll be grateful and thankful. But yeah, studies, statistical studies done on humans pertaining to these mental illness medications and their effect on the human body, long-term effect if possible, but even short-term would be helpful. The studies done on humans to see the effects of these mental illness medications on body functions, respiratory problems, heart problems, obesity problems, whichever, just to see, is there enough data to provide good evidence, or so that it can be taken a step, so that this issue can be taken a step further, and to court or wherever, and these mental mental health in this country and other countries, especially the Western world, that needs to be reformed, because I spoke to professionals before, and they themselves said, we don't exactly know how these medications are working or work on the brain, and yet they are giving people that. My dad is 70 or 71 years old. He can. Why are they giving him these mental illness medications? Why? What's he going to do if they are not giving them to him? Like, does he have any more power in his body to go and he can't even. These people are. And why I'm so sad and upset is because my family. I explained this information to 3 members of my family: my mom, my sister, who is a pharmacist, my brother Shadi, and yet, because they think I'm crazy, they go behind my back. They speak with them about among themselves. My sister, of course, is a pharmacist, so what do I know? And they override my word. Every time they are overriding my word, because who cares? Samir is just he's crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And I thought that they stopped these medications from him after explaining to them how they function and how they operate, but no, they are still giving him these medications, and his body is dying. My dad's whole body is shutting down because of these horrible chemicals going into his system. I explained how in general how these mental illness medications work, but what happens when you combine these things together? Yeah, so thank you, Nova, beforehand for whatever you're gonna think about and answer, and I hope I made enough sense. I know I am mumbling here and there sometimes, and yeah, as you know, English is not my first language, but I tried, and yeah, I hope what I said makes sense.